Manx Murders, adapted from his book by Keith Wilkinson. Read by Mark Clift. The murder of Margaret Kelly.
In 1889, William Kelly was 55 years old and a plasterer by trade. He lived with his wife and 3 of his children in 2 rooms of a former hotel in James Street, Douglas. When sober, he was quiet, unassuming and inoffensive, widely read and with an interest in Shakespeare and Burns. But after drink, he was an entirely different character, although never violent. All who knew him agreed that Kelly was a good family man who cared deeply for his wife and children, but both William and his wife Margaret were alcoholics, and as the Isle of Man Examiner reported, his great failing was his indulgence in drink, and he would occasionally go on a spree of several weeks' duration. On the morning of Tuesday, the 26th of November 1889, a neighbour of the Kellys, Thomas Corlett, had gone into their living room. He would later describe how he stayed in the room until 11:40 a.m, and during this time both husband and wife had several drinks of rum. He left the room in the company of Christina, one of their daughters. The pair walked down a flight of stairs and spoke together for a few minutes. They then heard William shout to his daughter, "Bella, come, I have murdered your mother." They rushed back upstairs to find Margaret sitting in a chair with her throat cut and blood pouring from the wound. It was clear to them all that she was dead. From that moment on, William Kelly never denied he had killed his wife, but claimed that it was done after she had provoked him. The inquest was held that same day by Mr. Samuel Harris, Coroner of Inquests for Douglas. After viewing the body in the room where the death occurred, they adjourned to the nearby courthouse. Corlett told the jury that William Kelly said his wife was extremely bad-tempered and constantly taunted him. Christina Kelly, one of his daughters, confirmed her mother's taunting, saying she was bad for tantalising him. Dr. Black told the jury he had been in the marketplace when he heard about the injured woman. He rushed to the scene and saw that her windpipe was almost completely severed, as was the main artery on the right side of the neck. The wound was 7.5 inches long, and blood had spurted about 9 feet across the room. Dr. Woods explained that he and Dr. Black had carried out a post-mortem examination. The cause of death was hemorrhage from the right carotid artery, and death would have occurred within seconds. Assistant Police Superintendent Fail said that William Kelly admitted he had cut his wife's throat. When he asked Kelly why he had done it, he had answered, "She has always been tantalising me, accusing me of going with other women and also with my youngest daughter." Kelly told him how his wife had put her head back and said, "Come and do it now." He had then slashed her throat. It was clear, added the police officer, that Kelly was under the influence of alcohol. The jury returned after 16 minutes of deliberation to find that Margaret Kelly died from loss of blood caused by her husband, William Kelly, cutting her throat under considerable provocation. He was then committed for trial. At the trial, on Friday the 17th of January 1890, Kelly pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Several witnesses gave excellent character references, including Assistant Police Superintendent Fail, who told the judges that the defendant had always been kind-hearted, inoffensive, and, to his knowledge, never violent in the past. Kelly's lawyer, Mr. Ring, told the court that apart from his excessive drinking, Kelly seemed to be a man of blameless character. He described the constant abuse from Margaret Kelly and pointed out that William had never before resorted to violence. The court retired at 11:24 a.m, and the jury returned after 30 minutes to deliver their verdict. he was found guilty of manslaughter and was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. The moment of sentencing was described in the Mona's Herald. The conclusion of His Honour's remarks were lost in the piercing shrieks and groans which rent the court, and which proceeded from 3 of the prisoner's daughters. One of them, after one piercing shriek on hearing the sentence pronounced, dropped to the floor as if dead. She was carried into the corridor and laid upon her back, and in about 5 minutes recovered sufficiently to be able to leave the court. But during this time her sisters kept up a most distressing wail and excited the pity of many of those who were present. The whole scene was perhaps the most painful that has ever been witnessed in the court, and will not soon be forgotten by many who were present. After spending several weeks in the jail in Douglas, Kelly was transferred to Wormwood Scrubs in London to serve his sentence.